Never had a chance to get up to the highest road in California, so guess we're going to do it today. And we're going to see something old, like I told you. So let's continue. If you ever get out this way into the eastern part of California, I'd highly recommend this this drive. It's Highway 168. It connects Highway 395 over into Dyer, Nevada, and then Beatty, Nevada. And then from there, from Beatty, you can get down to Las Vegas. So it's a pretty little drive. I mean, it's a stark drive, as you can see right here, and this is really late in the season. But it can also be very, very pretty and green after the rains in the spring, and even in the snow. Just think of all these this narrow canyon here, all covered in snow. We're about we're almost 5,000 feet right now, but the snow does get down here. All right, this is the beginning of the White Mountain Road, and all the way to the very end, it goes up to about 14,000 feet. I think, though, there's going to be a locked gate short of that, so we're going to get above 11,000 feet anyway, and that'll still, of course, be higher than the highest road in Idaho that we went to. So welcome to the highest road in California. Not the highest road in the U.S., but the highest road in California. Man, going through this section right here, this is what the moon looks like, I'll bet. Wow, that was bumpy, wasn't it? But we made it to the end of the line, and the end of the line is just shy of 12,000 feet. Let's go look at it. So that rise right over there is 11,800, and the road does continue on, like I said earlier, up to above 14,000 feet, but there's a research station up there. The road's closed. You can only get special permission to go up there. So we're just going to have to satisfy ourselves with 11,800 feet. Let's go take a look and see what kind of view we got over on the other side. Okay, it's kind of cold up here. um, so here we are. This is starting to get onto the western slope now of the White Mountains. Again, looking down into the, this is the northern part of the Owens Valley, and across to the eastern side of the Sierra Nevada. And then looking up northwesterly there, that's where Highway 395 travels up to Reno, Carson City, Reno. And then also you got Mammoth Mountain Ski Resort, June Mountain up there. And then just beyond that is Mono Lake. And looks like some weather is trying to make it come in here. And then look at this. You've got the guys over at China Lake Naval Air Station. Maybe there's some Edwards Air Force Base guys there making a U-turn right there at the boundary of the restricted airspace. It's always fun to watch. And we're somewhat close to Star Wars Canyon. You may have heard of it. Star Wars Canyon is where our guys come and train, going down the canyon. And a lot of foreign fighter pilots come as well. But we can't get over there because the big rainstorms that they had in August wiped out part of the road there. So I don't think you can make it over there. So we're not going to get a first-hand view of it, I don't think, on this trip. So you know what the old things are that you're going to look at? If you were sharp, you noticed them as you're driving up here. Bristlecone pines. Bristlecone pines, you know, the oldest trees, oldest living things, I guess, on Earth. Now, a lot of these trees are all newer. Well, not, I shouldn't say all newer, but a lot of these trees are younger in comparison with the ones over in what's called the Methuselah Grove, which is just south of here. The oldest tree over there is 4,700 years old. How about that? You know, these ones, yeah, maybe a couple thousand years old. And there's also a lot of newer ones, because what's happening here is as the colder temperatures rise higher and higher, these trees look for and populate those higher, more harsh areas. And so if you were to look at a picture of this area from ancient times to now, this is a veritable forest in comparison with what used to be here. Now this tree right here, I believe, is the let's see here. I think this one is what's termed as the widest bristlecone pine tree in the world. Look at that. What makes these trees so interesting, these bristlecone pines, is they prefer the poorer soil in the forest as opposed to the, let's see if we got an example here. As opposed to those Christmas tree looking ones over there, those I believe are lodgepole pines. They like the fresh, they like the better soil. But these bristlecones, by growing in this poorer soil, means that these trees have adapted to grow more slowly. Therefore, they have become hardier. What you can see here is this. For instance, look, there's no bark here. So these trees can exist without a protective layer of bark or a very, 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 very thin layer of bark on the outside. The other thing too is that they grow much denser. They're a harder wood, and they also have a lot more sap in them. And by doing so, it protects them against things like beetles, all sorts of insects. It keeps them impervious to fires that may come through here. And I guess, in the human sense, perhaps we can learn a thing or two from the bristlecone pines. I guess you can say, I guess you can say in the tree world, bristlecone pines are the intermittent fasters of the tree world, and they also practice calorie restriction. So I wonder if you can apply that to the human organism, right? Calorie restriction, intermittent fasting, and that makes us grow slower and healthier. The other thing that's interesting too about these bristlecone pines is they're pine needles. They will regrow their pine needles maybe every 40 to 50 years, where a typical pine tree will grow new pine needles maybe every 6 to 7 years. You can also tell a bristlecone pine from the distance, besides the shape of the tree or the thickness of the trunk, but from a distance, if you look at the bare tops, that's a hallmark of bristlecones, as opposed to the limbers and other pine trees, which are vegetated all the way up. So something old we've seen, and it's really interesting, when you're walking amongst these things and just realizing the history that these things have come through and have witnessed long before you and I have come and long before you and I passed through. The bristlecone forest of the White Mountains in California. And that'll end this episode, and I think the next episode's going to be somewhere down in Southern California. Oh, Southern California. I'm not saying Southern California, because I'm from there originally. I'm just saying, we've been all these wide open spaces, and now we're going to have something completely different. Isn't that right? All right, stay tuned. You're wondering how I got here from there, the previous video, right? Well, it's a long journey, but I'll tell you about that later.